Okie dokie. Well, here we go with this background. I'm going to use a couple of different things for this. I started off using pan pastels, and we were just going from one color to another, just applying it with a makeup sponge. In a second, I'll show you the pan pastels. There you go. That's what they look like. Then I switched to my Faber-Castell pastel pencils and decided to do all of the candles so that I would not lose my light sources. Sometimes if you're doing the other stuff, you'll forget the candle flames and you'll snuff them out. So I would just put down the pastel pencil and then just blend it out with another little makeup sponge. Of course, a clean one since it's yellow. Now I'm going in with blue. Have some blue flowers. I was using two different shades. I used like a lighter one towards the top of the flower and a darker one towards the bottom. Now I'm going in with some green and putting it in between. And then I switched to purple. And then I started feeling like it was pretty, but I felt like it was a little too undefined and I wanted it to be a little more defined. So in a few minutes I'm going to switch back to the pencils to put some more definition in the flowers, but I decided to do a few that were kind of ombre purple to blue and then some pink ones mixed in there. They're looking real pretty. I love pastels. All right, and this is when I decided, okay, I think it needs a little more definition in the greenery. So I was using two different colors of green in the Faber-Castell pastel pencils, a light one and a dark one, and then just kind of putting the light on top and the dark in the darkest places. I also went back and started using the pencil to put some definition into the darkest parts of the flower because you can get a little more precise with the tip of the pencil. And then I go back with the blenders and just kind of start blending it out. Now that's a pastel brush. It's a thick, short tip brush, and you just can kind of blend things down where they are and just kind of smush them into the paper. And then I dusted it all off with a bigger brush. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for the candelabras, and we ended up deciding on my metallic copper pan pastel. So what I was doing is I was using one of those little blender brushes that was tiny and to the point so that I could really get in those little candelabras. The actual candles themselves are a cream color and a light tan color. I put the tan in the dark area and the cream in the light and just blended them out. I'm working on all the little candles. Every time I move the paper, it's because I'm taking it and kind of blowing some of the dust off away from my desk. I decided to go a little darker with some of the close-up flowers. Now I got to figure out how to get the flowers through her fan. And I'm just blending it in. That's an eraser, so I was getting it off of the things that shouldn't be on. And I'm getting the little details of the shelving and the candles behind the fan with the pencils. And here's where I'm putting in all the details on the flowers because I didn't feel like they were defined enough. So I used the pencil to smush some dark into the darkest places of the flower to deepen the color and give it more depth. And then blend it out. The pencil stays a little more local. It doesn't spread as easy as the pan pastel. So where you put it, it kind of stays right in that area and you just blend it in a little bit. So it's not a stark line. Alright. Worked on that green. Now we're going to work on this pot. I just had this idea in my head of these pots I've seen that had the pretty royal blue and then the white pot. So that's what I was going for. I'm using a Prismacolor pencil. And that's my Caran d'Ache white. It's super bright, so I just put the white around there. That's a Prismacolor colorless blender, so I'm just kind of blending the pot once I put the colors down to make it smooth. Get rid of those pencil lines. Now that pot and the little ones up there are further away, so instead of using the Caran d'Ache, I used a white Geth pen charcoal pencil to smooth it out so that it would be a little more blurry versus the harshness of the colored pencil. Got some more flowers up here we're doing. All right, now we're doing the stonework. I was using the Faber-Castell pastel pencils, and I was using like kind of a ochre color and then a greenish tan color, and just putting the light in the light area and the dark in the dark area, and then blending it. And I use the same colors for all the stonework. And the same thing there, same two colors. And then just put a little bit, because you can spread it around some, and if you need more you can always add more. And if you get too much, you can use your kneadable eraser to just pull some back off again. And I'm pushing it through the fan again, because you got to get color behind that fan, knowing that I'm going to go back and I'm going to color the fan anyway. Here we go. I'm going to trace all that little lace back into the fan. That's a black Prismacolor pencil. I'm just redefining that fan over top of all that pastel I pushed on top of it. Highlighting it with the Caran d'Ache white. Putting in a little more detail. That's my colorless blender. I'm just blending the parts where I highlighted in the white on top of the black, so it's not so like harsh lines. Now we're going to start on the sky. Still using those Faber-Castell charcoal pencils. I think they're pastel pencils, not charcoal. I was having a lot of trouble with getting the darker blues to blend with those pencils, so that's why I'm using the kneadable eraser. I'm trying to pull some of that back off again. And see how I'm blending and it's not really blending very good? So I added some white to it to see if I could loosen it up and blend it around more. That seemed to help some. Not enough, so I erased it. Alright, so I chose some lighter colors that were moving more easier on the page instead of the darker colors that seemed to get stuck. And then that worked pretty well. So I'm blending those around. I was showing them the Faber-Castell eraser. It has a little bit of grit in it, so if you have something that's being a little stubborn, it will erase pretty much anything. You just have to be careful not to erase your grayscale off. There was a few flowers in there. And there's your finished background. It was beautiful.